all up in my thoughts.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Nia, how ready are you to start?
I'm ready.
Excellent. How do you like
Yeah.
to start?
Um, you know what? I am gonna stretch because I'm sitting, so this will be good. Get me in my body ready for this. I'm here.
Awesome. What do you need to set aside?
Um, Nothing. I feel really present and ready to coach.
Well, in that readiness, what committed way of being is really going to serve you today?
Let me take a fresh look because sometimes that I looked earlier that I wanted to show up today. Um, it's one I don't pick very often is be prepared, be on time and ready, just because I'm like, eh. I never find that one to be very, I don't know. It's not as poetic as the others. That I'm not giving you commentary on that, but that's what that things be prompt and respond to opportunities as they appear. But I think right now, um, I'm aware that there's a difference between responding to everything and choosing how I respond and what I want to respond to. And that's something that's really important. I think being on time and ready, I think the ready part is how do I balance readiness and opportunity and what I'm giving my attention to right now, I think is top of mind.
So, how do you want to sort that in a coaching session?
Um, I think I want to be really conscious. Like, I think I just want to respond. I want to respond differently is what I would say is like I think I'm so you like if I look backwards, I'm I go, oh, that's great. Yes, sign me up. Like, yes, 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 which is funny because that's the name of my business, yes word. But um I feel like I'm slowing things down a little bit and being very much more deliberate and in my choosing and what I'm giving my attention to. And that's what I want to put first. That's paramount right now.
So, what are you noticing so far? Because it sounds like you're already doing this in places.
Yeah, I'm more conscious of it. And I think in the last week I've been more conscious of it, which is I think I have all my ducks in a row and then a new duck shows up. So, it's like, well, and sometimes the duck's a gift, or sometimes the duck is exactly what I was looking for all along. I'm like, darn, like, can I handle another duck? Like, is that what so I'm I'm more thoughtful, and that's just really important to me right now. And it's not painful, it's requiring a different level of attention.
Mhm. So, when you think about upping your attention, what do you want to be attending to?
Mm. Ah, that's good. I think this is getting to kind of the word ready, I think is really popping to me is like, how can I not how can I be ready um for new opportunities and not be slowing things down and still be deliberate. I know that sounds like a lot. There's something in there. It's nuanced. It's hard to put together, but that readiness piece is something I just think I want to, it's more like a feeling than it is like a, hey, here's my process.
Mhm.
Um, Whereas before it was more like a, well, I have to do this because it might not come along. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like the things that I'm being handed are much more in alignment with who I'm becoming and what I want to do, and how do I not, in my deliberation or in my desire to be more thoughtful, not slow things down too much that I miss those opportunities, or that I overthink them.
Mm.
So that's kind of what's going on.
So then in our coaching session, is it about the thoughtfulness and gauging where you might be overthinking it, or is it more than that?
I think it's about accessing that, like, I really want this piece that is that readiness. Like, readiness, um I never thought that question you just asked me just really clarified it for me, which is, um I think that I always think readiness is like you have to get it all together and then you're ready. There's
Mm.
something in there's a wiring. And I think readiness is like I know what I want and this is in alignment with what I want and I'm ready to receive that. Like there's a receiving piece of it that's a shift. And that I it it feels less grindy, for I'm sorry, I don't have a better word. Like it feels less like the gears grinding. It's less like about gears and more about flow.
So receiving, flow.
Yeah. And I feel it. Like there's a positive energy that's not just like, oh, I should do that. It's more like, no, I want this. It's much more um I don't know, for lack of a better term, aligned, but it's like inner. Like I want this.
So there's a desire or want.
Hmm.
Okay, so we'll use that throughout and check things
Hmm.
out. So,
Yeah.
what have you been working on between coaching sessions?
Well, I've been working on so much. Here's and this kind of ties into what I want to coach on. So I'll share this is that one of the things that I've been doing is really getting my business in alignment. And I used a metaphor the other day to describe what I've been up to. And I'm like, this makes so much sense to me. Is that it's like my garden, I have a garden and my business is a garden and everything is now in rows. Like instead of having carrots kind of hither and like I've got carrots and the carrots are next to the radishes and then the tomatoes and like everything's exactly where it should be and it's all labeled and I know where it is and the hardest part for me right now is that all the seeds are planted, but I'm just starting to see little green tops a little bit. And it's hard for me not to want to go, oh my God, nothing's working. Because I don't have that quick hit of like, I did something and there it is.
Mm.
So things are planted and I'm not seeing like the direct impact that I want because it's growing. Like it's under the surface. And instead of it being about ducks, sorry to change metaphors, but
You're screwing with me.
I
Yeah.
know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to change metaphors, but the thing is that like somebody handed me a plant I didn't even know I wanted in my garden. Like I didn't even think I was ready to plant it. And they go, "Hey, here you go." And not only that, two more people hand me similar plants and I'm like, "Oh, where does this go in my garden?" And so I'm walking around with these plants and I want them in my garden, but I'm like, "Am I ready to put them in my garden? What if this like should I be tending to my garden or should I be tending to these already growing plants?" And that's not a bad problem to have. Like, I'm not feeling bad about this,
Hmm.
but I'm like, there's a lot of old behaviors that and old responses to things that are showing up at the same time these new opportunities are showing up that weren't orderly and planted. And so the work I've been doing is leading me to kind of some new responses and new behaviors. Um, and new opportunities. And I think what I'm wrestling with is these new opportunities are things I want to do. And can I trust? I think where I'm wrestling is, can I trust that the things that I've planted can grow while I'm tending and deciding where to plant these new plants? Can I do two things at once? Can I do things that are conflicting, or not conflicting, but there's like a level of letting go of old behaviors of over tending things that just need the space to grow. Does
Hmm.
that make sense what I'm saying? I hope that's making sense. Like, I feel like
What are you making sense of inside of that?
I'm making sense that that I'm ready. Actually have this great opportunity right now to start to look at, and that let's take these new plants are like, hey, speaking opportunities and teaching classes at these places that I never would have thought to teach at, that I would love to do. And I think, um, I really, I think what's in conflict is, can I trust that what I've planted is going to grow so that I can tend to these plants? And I think I need a new way to see this, that a new way to trust myself and what I've built, that it's growing. Like, just because I can't see it, um, those little roots are growing and those little sprouts are going to grow. And there's literally nothing I can do to make them grow faster.
Hmm.
If
So, as these things are, your garden's popping and that's being handed to you, um, what's your immediate response to that question? Can I do both?
my immediate response is, I think so. I would like it to be absolutely. And I think what's at play is being willing to take a risk on something that feels, so this is more emotional than reasonable, that feels um uncertain. Uncertain because I haven't done this in a while. Uncertain because it feels very vulnerable. Uncertain because I might fail. And even though there's a part of me that's like, you've done this before, you can do this, like, that isn't like it. I don't want to do it the same way I've always done it. I want to be who I want to be. I want to do it differently. And that that feels really important right now.
So you talked about that being homework. You also hinted at this leads to the goal. Where are we in that process? Are we
It,
still in homework? Are we
I think
moving?
we've moved into the goal, and I think, thank you for asking, because in my brain I'm already moving there, right?
Just want to
So
make sure, like, where you want to be inside of this.
this is the problem when I think about things ahead of time, is that I start thinking about what this means. But I think what I'd love to use our time for is really thinking about who I want to be, like, I want to be able to have a pathway and to believe in myself um, in a new way. Like that I can definitely speak. I can definitely take on these kinds of new clients and new opportunities to teach. Um, I've done it in the past, but it's like I want to be different. And it's like I can't quite see her yet. And I need a more compelling story, not to take out of what we've been talking about, but I need a better storyline for that because the suck back to what I've always done is just so familiar.
Mm. If you don't have the better storyline, what will happen?
I'm afraid I'm going to just get into overthinking and start like, oh, and then get to, so when I overthink, then I start, well, then I have to wait until I have a speaker sheet and then I have to do this. And then I have to, then I start processing myself to death. And if I process myself to death, then I create all these barriers to actually just just having a conversation or doing the thing that moves me closer to the opportunity that I really want. And I will eventually talk myself right out of it. And I don't want to do that.
So if it's about figuring out who you want to be so that you can tend to the garden and take
Yeah.
on the plants that you're ready for,
Yeah.
what is worth, do you think you need to explore even in that question of who do you want to be?
I think I have I think I have an idea of it. I just don't think I don't think I've talked it out. I think it's living like in my head, if that makes sense. Like I don't have a relationship to it. It's like every time I get close to it, I just kind of pull back and start getting busy. And I think it's almost like a, can I just start to craft this vision of myself or the voice or the message that will help me lean that way instead of leaning backwards.
So at the end of the coaching session,
Mhm.
what what is necessary for you to leave with?
I think I'd like to have a stronger pull forward, like that I know, like that there's that feeling of I know where I'm going and I have a sense of who I'm becoming, of who she is, even if I don't know everything. And that's going to be it, like it's that pull. I'll have a foothold in the possibility.
And what's included in a stronger sense? Is that feeling,
I think
words?
it's feeling, it's I think there'll be I could imagine there's like a word or phrases, something like that. But I also feel like I will, it's almost like I'll hear a different voice. Maybe it's a different tone talking to me
Mm.
because that old voice I'm real familiar with. I know that voice. I know, like, oh yeah, well, this is the way it was. I know that. I think there's something new.
So just to clarify, you're
Hmm.
exploring who do you want to be.
Hmm.
You need to, you know you can do this.
Hmm.
But the problem or the challenge is imagining it.
Hmm.
Okay. So Nia, in that when you started planting
Mhm.
What initiated the planting to begin with?
I kind of got sick of not having crops. Like, I got sick of it. I was like, I feel like there's a guy on TikTok or something who talks about like, he just takes seeds and he throws them. And I'm like, I remember I saw this little video and I was like, I think that's what I'm doing, is that I'm throwing all these seeds and I am helping others do things, but I don't have my own crops.
Mm,
And I used to, but I don't want those crops anymore. Like I don't I want to grow something that sustains me and
mm,
that I'm proud of. And so I started putting things in order. Um, so that was what prompted it. I kind
mm.
of got sick of not being able to count on things.
You're 20 minutes into it right now.
Okay, thank you, Jarrett. So, Nia, imagine that it's you're 20 years forward and you're talking back to the gardener today, and that person is telling you how important that garden is. What would she say to you today?
What a good gardener you've become. um, that little garden has grown into a whole field of bumper crop after bumper crop. Look at all the people you have helping you tend to this garden. They know what they're doing. You're feeding many. And you even have some fun experiments going over there, pointing to the greenhouse. And aren't you glad you were patient? uh,
How was she patient?
Not worrying so much about those little seeds and what they were doing, but trusting that they knew what they were doing. Mm,
How did how does she share the wisdom of accepting new plants?
mm, mm. Just saying others could see what you are capable of before you believed it.
So how did you have to believe it?
I had to plant them in my garden, make room, and see how they aren't so dissimilar. Finding what's similar and what complements made it much easier. That they were not unusual varieties, but had a similar way of being tended and a similar way of being harvested. And that made it easy. The other thing is that having these plants that were more started allowed you to be busy, which kept you out of being busy, putting your need for busyness and activity in the rest of things that needed to be left alone for a while. Hmm.
What did you feel was that you had to learn wasn't at risk that you
Hmm.
assumed might be at risk by taking these plants?
That I'd have to figure it all out on my own. That is that like hit a emotional piece, like that got caught in my throat as I was sharing that. That as they're handing me these plants, that now I'm responsible, solely responsible, and I don't even know what the damn plant is, So that I think there are those who can help me figure out what I need to do.
When you said it hit an emotional response, for what reason do you believe?
I think that, well, I think it's the idea that I have to handle it, like that it's a pass or fail, and somehow I'm supposed to figure it all out on my own, which that feels very old story. And the people that handed me the plants didn't expect me to just take it and run with it. They expected me to want to learn how to care for it. And that means I have to ask for help and resources and learn what I don't know yet.
When you think about this person, what do the people that are asking you to tend to their plants know about you that caused them to choose you?
They know that I care deeply and that I will do my best, and that I really care about things thriving and helping make sure that there's a benefit to more than just me. There's mutual benefit.
So, what did you become known as?
Mm, mm. I became known as the great gardener. The great gardener. And I like that. It's really simple. Someone who, if you want it to grow, you go to Nia.
And what's your favorite tool in the garden?
That's a good question. Um,
10 minutes left.
yeah, I think it's the little weeder, they go in and go around the plants to get to pull up the weeds, to make sure that all of the nurturing that that plant needs, that it's getting everything and it's not having to compete with things that are unnecessary.
So what did you have to weed for yourself?
I had to, I think it's weeding the idea that I have to do this on my own and that I have to rely on myself only, as though I don't have resources and support.
And to pull that weed, what did it cost you?
That's a good question. I think the feeling is like this, um, I think it's like a layer of protection, and that literally is just, it's like trying to stay in the seed, it's trying to stay in the shell of the seed, and I'm trying to burst out and I'm trying to keep it and still burst through. It's like the cost is that I never fully get to grow.
Mm.
And that, and I don't get to have the impact that I want to have. And so that protection has kept me from really growing and thriving myself.
So what did you have to look for to tell you that the cost was worth it?
I think I think the metaphor of the garden is so important, is that I had to look for what matters most to me and be willing to give it the space and the tending and the resources it needs in my life to be able to see it, and the patience to be able to see it come to fruition.
And if you were to tell current Nia
Mhm.
one thing to remember, what would that be?
There's a idea that every plant, every seed, when planted, like it has the spark to grow roots, to grow toward the sun, to break free of the secure thing, even though it doesn't know what it's going to become. And to pay attention to that desire to grow.
And how would you sign off if this was a letter to yourself?
Can't wait to see what you become.
Can I read this back to you?
Yes.
Dear Nia, what a good gardener you've become. You have field after field of bumper crops. Look at all the people that are helping tend to the gardens. Know what you are doing is feeding many. You even have these fun experiments going in the greenhouses. Aren't you glad that you've been patient, not worrying about those little seeds, trusting they know what to do? And you've accepted those new plants. Others could see that you could tend to them, that you would be able to make room. And you realize that it was worth making room because you could find the similarities, how they complemented the other things that you are growing. and it made it easier. Those unusual varieties still had ways of finding familiarity amongst the other plants. What it also gave you is while your original garden was growing, these plants kept you busy so that you didn't busy yourself. But you had to learn that nobody expected you to do this alone. This wasn't your sole responsibility. And this wasn't a pass fail. People didn't expect you to take it and run. They wanted you to learn how to care for it by asking for help, caring deeply, and doing your best. And now they're all thriving. And not just the plants, but it's benefiting you and you're thriving, and there's mutual benefit for everyone. Did you know that you're known as the great gardener? Go to Nia, she can grow anything. Her best tool, the weeder. It pulls up any weeds, unwanted, unnecessary. And how you weed for yourself is not asking or expecting you to do it on your own. It might cost you some protection, but in the end, it gives you a garden that keeps growing and really helps you remember what matters. Nia, just remember, every seed when planted, that it already knows what it needs to do. Let it do its thing. Pay attention. Can't wait to see what you become. When you hear all that, what does it tell you of who you want to become?
It feels good because it's a different way of approaching the same thing that I've been doing. And I think it helps me see and feel that difference of not having to carry everything on my own or figure it out on my own. That is the piece that I really am taking away, and how that has a great impact, not just for me, but on everyone that gets to partake in the garden, whether working there, receiving the bounty of it.
So what are you ready to receive?
I'm ready to receive those new plants. The I didn't realize that, honestly. I don't think I could have gotten it. I can see how what's getting in my way is this idea that I should already know exactly what to do with those plants.
Mhm.
And it's okay to ask for help and ask for people who have been gardening or might know these things that I don't know, and say, okay, how could I approach this? Where in my garden does this make sense? And I think that feels lighter, and it feels more inviting for me.
How does it get to your committed way of being?
Well, I think the readiness is, I think I was readying for the wrong thing. I was ready to take it all on and to have all this heavy responsibility and having to get it right and having to make sure everything was and I think it shifted that piece to, the readiness is to say yes. And part of that yes is I get to ask for help. I get to ask for insight. I get to ask for support. And I have lots of people who want to do that. And so that already just feels like, okay, I can do this. There's a big shift. And I think readiness was hard to define. And I think part of the reason is because I was the one putting so much weight on it, so much heaviness. That now I have a different feeling of what ready means.
what emotions come up for you with that new feeling?
Honestly, there like I don't know that it's an emotion. There's a little bit of um like like release. What I'll say is like it's not really sadness, but it feels like it's like here and under my eyes when I get a little teary. And to me, that's always like there's release with this, like all this tightness that I've been feeling. It's like, ah. So it feels like a release and it feels like a relief, which I desperately need because I really want to do these things. And now I feel like I can do it.
So what will you do
40
next?
minutes in.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we're at the end. So
Yeah. So what will I do? I'm actually gonna follow up on these couple of plants that have been given to me and find out more about what that looks like and then if I have questions or need support, I have a couple of people I can follow up with and figure out how to move forward.
and you said at the beginning that you wanted a stronger pull forward.
Yeah. That garden, like I can see the gardens, I can feel the gardens. The great gardener made me giggle, but it honestly feels right. It feels like that's in alignment with who I want to be, and it's compelling. And I desperately needed a new vision or a new story to pull me that direction. Beyond just the garden that I have with these sprouts that I can barely see. Doesn't like I need to see where it can go.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then how close did you get to your goal?
Oh, I think this was exactly what I wanted was to see and feel something different that I could still maintain the discernment and still maintain this feeling, but that I have a new reference point, a new way to see the things that have been kind of stuck. And I didn't know how to articulate that as crystal clear, but I now understand why I couldn't. It was kind of a feeling, but that story really helped.
Yes. How would you like to close out?
Um, I am just going to close my eyes and take a deep breath and just extend so much gratitude for you and also for the group witnessing this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.